It is our pleasure to welcome you to this latest edition of the news in English on Rwanda Television with me, Serge Nhore. We'll begin with the headlines. The 7th edition of the Youth Connect Africa Summit has been concluded here in Kigali. The Africa Risk Reward Index 2024 report is ranking Rwanda as the top destination in East Africa for safe investment and cross-border trade. And on the international scene, the U.S. Department for the Interior says American Indian and Alaska Native people are at a disappropriate risk of going missing, experiencing violence, or being murdered. Now the details. The Prime Minister of Rwanda, Dr. Ngirente, has stressed that partnerships between the government and stakeholders are essential for creating programs and jobs that support the development of Africa's youth. We have the details with Adam Squizera.
The closing day of Youth Connect 2024 was marked with the grand finale of the Hunger Pitch Fest, where 5 finalists presented their projects aimed at addressing a range of challenges facing the continent. Innocent Muhizi, Director General of the Rwanda Information Society Authority, RISA, emphasized that many challenges facing Rwanda and other parts of Africa are concentrated in rural areas. He noted that projects supporting innovators with solutions to these issues must reach beyond the cities to effectively drive development in unserved regions.
How much more can we be able to do if we continue this journey? Ideas and creativity are not a purview of the people in cities. As a matter of fact, the issues that we are to solve are more so prevalent in the rural areas. Hence the idea of taking the innovation hubs outside of Kigali to the secondary cities, and the idea is to continue to take them even to the most remote area of the country.
Sing today!
Cedric Mupenzi's project, Sing Today, was the first of 5 finalists in the Hunger Pitch Fest, winning a prize of 50 million Rwandan francs.
The most important thing is not the award, it's not the 50 million Rwandan francs, rather it's the connection, the support that we get after this program, which takes us on another level and allow us to expand in other countries possibly. Thank you.
The Minister of ICT and Innovation, Paula Ingabire, encouraged the youth to seize existing opportunities and use the challenges they encounter as inspiration to develop solutions.
Remember that great innovations are born out of unlimited determination. Every problem that you see around you is an opportunity to create value and to make impact. Never underestimate the power of small beginnings. The greatest breakthroughs from those who have dared to believe that they could make a difference even with the limited resources that they have at hand.
Prime Minister Dr. Ngirente emphasized that Africa's greatest resource is youth, highlighting the need for collaborative programs to address the continent's pressing challenges.
In this regard, our young people must be equipped with the necessary skills to reach their full potential and play their critical role in driving our continent transformation. To achieve this, there is a need for targeted investments and strategic partnerships between all stakeholders to leverage the young people's skills and innovations. Equally important, we need to align our education systems with the ever-changing global job market. As the world shifts toward digital and technology-driven jobs, investments in skilling our youth is imperative.
Lifeline, please join me.
Other prize-winning projects include Lifeline, which placed 5th, Clanville in 4th, and Afia Wealth in 3rd. Aline Nicole Wamaria's Geuza project secured 2nd place, earning a prize of 20 million Rwandan francs. Adam Squizera, RwandaTV News.
Thank you, Adams. Now, members of the Liberal Party have once again expressed their satisfaction with the recent presidential results, in which President Paul Kagame emerged the winner, and are vowing to collaboratively work together in supporting different government programs, including the realization of the objectives and goals of the second phase of the National Strategy for Transformation. William Evans Mutabazi with the details.
Of the Liberal Party revealed that they still celebrate campaign processes and the results of the recent presidential elections, in which their party supported President Paul Kagame's candidature, and that their representation in parliament has also increased, something notably worthy celebrating.
Ku birebana n'amatora ya nyakubahwa perezida wa repubulika, murabizi ko ishyaka PR.
You well know that our party supported President Paul Kagame in the previous elections, from the campaigns to the landmark victory he got. We celebrate that, and that our party came second in terms of representation in parliament, and the number of our deputies increased too.
Dufite rero gahunda ya guverinoma y'imyaka 5 tugomba kugira mu ruhare nk'ishyaka PR.
Now, we also have to actively participate in the government's strategic development goals as a party, in addition to our strategic plan too. We therefore have to work very hard and work together to achieve this in the coming 5 years.
Mu gihe twateganyije cy'imyaka 5 iri imbere.
Beyond celebrations, members of this party say that they are making their contribution to the development of the country by supporting different government programs, including the realization of NS2 goals and objectives. We strive to continue efforts towards national development as well as the party, because once you have empowered party members, this spreads across board, causing prosperity from the grassroots to the entire nation. We are having a workshop on how to create self-reliant jobs. It is a training that is practical and will help in individual development. Today's workshop focused on the party representatives in Kigali, but will continue to other parts of the country, with a focus on encouraging party members and all Rwandans to make use of the opportunities the country has created in order to develop themselves and develop the country as a whole. William Evans, Mtabazi, RwandaTV News.
Thank you, William. Now, the Africa Risk Reward Index 2024 report is ranking Rwanda as the top destination in East Africa for safe investment and cross-border trade, attributing this to numerous government initiatives. We have more on that. Truck drivers transporting goods across borders mentioned that they exercise more caution in other countries, whereas in Rwanda they feel secure. The 9th Africa Risk Reward Index 2024 report, conducted by Oxford Economics Africa and Controlled Risks, places Rwanda at the top of the East African community as a safe environment for investment and cross-border trade. This report highlights that as scores increase, so do concerns about limited investment and business opportunities in certain countries. Rwanda leads the EAC in terms of political stability, general welfare, and impressive economic growth, scoring 5.11 out of 10.
Kigali, but Rwanda in general is very flexible when it comes to the capital that you want to invest. There's no minimum cap, as most places have been. They want you to have $500,000 as capital, $250,000. But hey, we are Africans. And as Africans, we should understand that we don't have a high purchase. If you can budget 2,000, 5,000, 10,000, depending on what you want to do, you would definitely find your way out. We have basic infrastructures laid out. The internet is quite affordable. The digital process is quite very smooth. So you can easily pick up. And remember, Kigali and Rwanda in general is becoming one of the most preferred capitals for tourists and also for business destinations, meetings. It was the perfect fit for me because I'm into conference interpreting, language translation, business English, as well as voiceover, which is still new in Africa. And I found Rwanda as the perfect place for me to really start and sensitizing people about that.
The leadership of Rwanda has done a very good job of showcasing the country, and I think setting a very good example for the continent. So, for instance, the easy visa-free access for virtually everybody in the world, the huge conferences and events that Kigali is putting on, the new stadium, the new advancements, the new airport, all the things that it's doing as a country to make things bigger, better, easier, safer, more secure, is a big example for the world, really. And I think that's something that all of us commend the country on. and one of the reasons that we came here to stay. So we're basing ourselves here in Kigali as the centre of our operations. I think over time what we want to do is use Rwanda and its geography as a place to expand across the continent. So starting with East Africa, going across to other parts of Africa as well. But most of our operations and investment is going to come into Rwanda itself.
One of the factors considered in this report is the progress made by 7 countries in advancing AI policies, with Rwanda as the only country in the region to adopt this policy.
Rwanda's ambitions and the capacity, the way you're organized to actually do these things, combined with private sector investment, combined with public funding to make some of that happen, the de-risking and so on, offers an excellent agenda. We think that that's largely due to the fact that this government has a very, very clear agenda, knows very well what its strengths are, has a great capacity to implement what it decides, and of course has with the board a one-stop shop that makes basically doing business and investing in Rwanda.
Following Rwanda in the Africa Risk Reward Index 2024 is Tanzania, with a score of 5.37, Uganda 6.01, Kenya 6.06, and the Democratic Republic of Congo ranks last with 7.6 out of 10. Higher scores often indicate increased concerns about limited business and investment opportunities. Issues such as political instability, poor living conditions, and weak economies contribute to the lower rankings of some countries. Officials in the Ministry of Education have noted that the Adventist University of Central Africa has been a blessing for Rwanda due to its quality education and character development. This statement was made by the Minister of State in the Ministry of Education, Claudette Irere, on Sunday during a graduation ceremony where over 500 students received their diplomas from AUCA. The ceremony began with a hymn sung by students, officials, and families. With deep emotions, some graduates shared that the knowledge gained over their more than 3 years of study will be a foundation for their future development. The university's vice-chancellor advised the graduates to conduct themselves well in their next endeavors and to contribute meaningfully to the country's development. State Minister Claudette Irere emphasized that AUCA has been a blessing for Rwanda with a valuable partner in the education sector. This year marks the 30th graduation ceremony of the Seventh-day Adventist University, as it also prepares to celebrate its 40th anniversary since its establishment. Now, starting on Tuesday, Rwanda will be hosting the 4th General Assembly of the African Public Procurement Network that will last for 3 days and focus on improving operations and sharing knowledge and expertise. The participants of this conference acknowledge Rwanda as one of the African countries that has made significant strides in public procurement management.
I think also in the conference we'll be able to see the exhibition. We will have the Rwanda Pavilion that will be showcasing the revolution of the Rwanda's public procurement since after the genocide, because when in 1996 is when the National Tender Board was created, and to ensure that we use the government resources efficiently. This was an organization that was giving out the tenders on behalf of all government institutions. So as we kept growing, now the Rwanda Public Procurement Authority was created, and to separate the regulatory mandate from now awarding of tender mandate, where now we have the institutions giving out their tenders themselves. We only play the role of regulator, the policymaker, and also the controller on monitoring of public procurement, building capacity. So we've been able also to separate, and that was a major achievement actually, because countries sometimes they lack that body that will regulate. So by the time we adopted that, we kept now seeing more other coming innovatives. In 2016, for instance, we saw the Umucho e-procurement system that was adopted by the country. We kept revising the legal and regulatory framework for Rwanda. The first one we had was in 2007. Now we have a new one of 2022, and we have now the policy in 2024. Yesterday, you saw also in the cabinet, we have now a ministerial order on procurement for innovation. So I think we are really evolving in terms of the innovation we bring. The open data contracting, the open contracting data standard is a new tool that we're going to adopt that also is going to give more visibility. If you are able to be in the conference, we will be launching it. It will be able to give you the information, how many tenders were awarded, how much money we spend on the tenders, how many tenders are delaying in terms of execution, how many bidders were being awarded the tenders, who is the top bidder, and how many competition did we do in terms of tenders, how many single source. So I think even the public will be able to question how is the money that we get in public procurement is being spent and to who the money goes, and how are we able to execute the procurement. So that visibility is not something any country will be willing to do, because majority sometimes they don't even take care of transparency. So the OCDS data is going to really showcase in the initiative in terms of how do we access data and how do we make people accountable in terms of the utilization of the funds given to us as government institutions. So I believe we are keep moving in terms of professionalization. Last time you saw also a law establishing the Institute of Procurement Professionals, which is also something very important when it comes to building the capacities and making sure that those in procurement functions, they are operating in a way that they are professional. So there will be a way of sanctioning, disciplining the professionals. So I think those are some of the things you will find in any advanced country in terms of public procurement. And as a matter of fact, our system has been assessed and was found robust in 2022 by the maps. You will see them in the conference. But also later on, we did an assessment of a mutual procurement system that was ranked to be the one of the closer best in class, because we have the last best in class is number 4, so we're at number 3. And I believe by making now a mutual version 2 that we intend to do next year, we'll be able also to qualify for the best in class. I think those are the things I believe are helping us to position Rwanda as a region of center of excellence in public procurement.
Now let's go to the Western Province, where residents in Rusizi are hopeful for a bountiful harvest of from 500,000 fruit trees that are being planted in the district. These efforts aim to address challenges such as soil erosion, limited access to food for nutrition, and the lack of income from fruit sales.
Of trees in the Rusizi district has led to significant challenges, including soil erosion, a shortage of wood, and limited access to fruit for both food and income, despite the area's wide market potential. Sometimes it gets rainy, and at some point the erosion carries away all the crops that we planted. The planting season in Rusizi district is focused on mixing trees with crops, including indigenous and fruit trees. The ARCOS organization plays a key role in supporting the community by providing these trees. Jacqueline, the Director of Development Operations and Partnerships at ARCOS, emphasizes the project's alignment with the district's annual plan for the next 5 years. We aim to plant at least 100,000 trees per year over the next 5 years and plan to carry out reforestation on at least 750 hectares during this period. Farmers who have planted these seeds and trees on their land are hopeful for economic growth and improved welfare once the trees begin to bear fruits. Dr. Kibiriga Aniset, the mayor of Rusizi district, shares that the district plans to build a fruit processing plant, ensuring that the trees being planted will generate income in the future. First, as part of the value chain, we aim to establish a processing plant that produces juices and other fruit-based beverages. This means that when residents harvest their crops, they will have a local market for their produce, reducing the need to export it. The goal is to utilize these fruits within the country, benefiting local communities. Additionally, children will have access to these fruits, which can help prevent malnutrition and stunting. In collaboration with the Ministry of Agriculture and Animal Resources, there is a plan to plant over 6.4 million trees, primarily avocados, oranges, lemons, papayas and tree tomatoes trees. These will be mixed with other trees and crops that help prevent erosion.
Welcome back, and now international news. In parts of Ukraine occupied by Russia, Ukrainian officials can suddenly find themselves at the mercy of Moscow and cut off from Kiev. In one such area, a judge decided that even though Russians took over his town back in 2022, he was still Ukrainian. VOA has the details.
45-year-old Balaklia District Court Judge Volodymyr Strihunenko recalls what happened after Russia began the occupation of the Kharkiv region in March of 2022. Strihunenko and his colleagues hid valuables in the courtroom vault, but Russian soldiers broke the locks and looted the room, he says.
They found a way to open everything without keys, simply cutting off the locks. There were probably around 5 safe boxes here, and they took at least 8 large TVs, the ones used to broadcasting court sessions and video recordings.
Strihunenko also says that he saw Russian forces torturing local residents.
They tortured several people to death here. One was Maxim Shelikhan. He worked as a lawyer. Then, the son of our colleague, Artur Sirenko, went missing, and until this day, there's no information about his whereabouts.
Strihunenko was among those the Russians captured. On June 3, 2022, an unfamiliar car arrived in his yard. 2 masked soldiers then took him to the occupied police station, where a torture chamber had been set up. There they invited the judge to hand down sentences for them.
There were fresh blood stains under my feet. They offered me a job. I told them that I would not do this, that I was a Ukrainian judge.
That day Strihunenko was allowed to leave. However, a few days later, on June 7, 2022, Russian soldiers visited his home again.
They opened the door and immediately started punching me in the face.
Then they took Strihunenko with them. The man's neighbor, Valentina, who did not want her last name mentioned for security reasons, saw the invaders kidnap the judge and rob his apartment in the process.
All of us neighbors were staring. We saw who came in, what they took. They started taking out suitcases, packing stuff, everything. It was really scary. And then they took him.
Russian soldiers took Strihunenko to his unfinished country house, where they demanded he legally transfer his property to them, he recalls. When he refused, they took him to the torture chamber again. There he was beaten, his jaw was broken. Strihunenko says it was his mother who saved him. His neighbors called her and told her about her son having been kidnapped, and she pleaded for the Russians to let her son live alive.
Someone later told me I have a powerful guardian angel. Well, a powerful guardian angel and supportive parents.
On September 8, 2022, Balaklia was liberated by Ukraine's armed forces. On June 1, 2023, the court in Balaklia resumed its normal work. And Strihunenko is working his way through more than 1,000 cases, some of which involve crimes committed by local defectors. Anna Kostyuchenko for VOA News, Kharkiv region, Ukraine.
The U.S. Department of the Interior says American Indian and Alaska Native people are at the disproportionate risk, that is, of getting murdered, going missing, or experiencing violence. In the southwest state of New Mexico, some indigenous families are using a new grant to help expand their search for justice. VOA once more.
Tiffany Reed went missing from the Navajo Nation 20 years ago. Today, her older sister Deandra Reed is helping other families of missing and murdered indigenous people try to find closure and justice. Reed is a coordinator with the Coalition to Stop Violence Against Native Women.
This is personal for me, and it really gave me the motivation to be the voice for my sister. And I just really want to be able to help the families who are just now experiencing the loss of their loved one, and just trying to help them to navigate the system to get through the barriers that we faced 20 years ago.
New Mexico has among the largest number of missing and murdered indigenous people, with some cases dating back to the 1950s. Reed's group is helping connect indigenous people who are looking for a missed loved one with a state program offering up to $3,000 to cover search-related expenses. 17 families used that direct aid fund last year, including Navajo Nation member Denise Carrillo, who is searching for her sister Christina, who was last seen on June 14, 2022.
It takes a lot of money, and a lot of families have been doing that, been out of their own pocket paying for cadaver dogs and paying for volunteers, paying for people to go and help do these large searches where they have 5 canine dogs out there, and we're like circling and flagging any type of bone or stuff like that.
Josette Monet is Cabinet Secretary for the New Mexico Indian Affairs Department. She says helping defray families' search costs is progress, but the state still needs to figure out better ways to help them.
Hearing the family stories, for me, it comes back to me as, for my professional role, to come back and say, okay, I need to understand some of these questions, or I need to start trying to find some answers to these questions so that I can help better serve the families and the communities. But there's some things that I just don't know the answers to right now, and I think that that's what's really hard for families. It's hard for us as well.
The U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention reports that non-Hispanic American Indians and Alaska Natives had the second highest rates of homicide in 2020 compared to all other racial and ethnic groups. Gustavo Martinez Contreras, VOA News, Farmington, New Mexico.
That report brings us to the end of this edition, but before we go, let us once again take a look at the headlines. The 7th edition of the Youth Connect Africa Summit has been concluded here in Kigali. The Africa Risk Reward Index 2024 report is ranking Rwanda as the top destination in East Africa for safe investment and cross-border trade. And as we just saw, the U.S. Department of the Interior says American Indian and Alaska Native people are at risk, at a disproportionate rate of going missing, experiencing violence, or being murdered. As always, I am glad that you are able to join us, and I hope you have a great week ahead of you. I'll be seeing you soon. Goodbye.